SRP Media.
Good morning, Gabby.
Morning, Terry, and morning all to part 6, episode 6 of our weekly podcast, The Curran View. How's things, pal?
Fine, thanks.
We're going to be talking...
Nice day, so got rid of the rain, so yes, it's a nice day.
Well, I think the rain's heading towards Birmingham because apparently it's going to absolutely pour down here later, so thank you very much for that. We're going to be talking about football clubs, because I know you want to get in-depth about the game. But firstly, we always start with something a little bit trivial. What was your favourite football anthem? Because I was having a Twitter row about this last night.
My favourite football anthem?
Yeah, and not the one that you sung, Singing the Blues, that still played at Hillsborough, which was brilliant, by the way.
There's two I like, really. I like the Chelsea one.
Yeah, Blues of Colour.
And Blues the Colour, and I like the Leeds United one.
Marching On Together.
Marching On Together.
Yeah.
Two great football anthems in and around my time when I was playing football, and obviously great players playing football at that time.
Great clubs, and do you know what as well, Tel? That late 60s, early 70s period, some manic results as well. Chelsea and Leeds, they played some right games, some right battles, and some right massacres as well.
Well, when you look at that in those days, teams went out to play football against each other. They weren't frightened to play. You know, it's this 11 against that 11. Leeds played Manchester United, or Chelsea playing Birmingham, or wherever it were, Tottenham playing Arsenal. They had a go at each other. Yeah. And what's crept into the game, in the modern game, is working on organisation, not attacking flair players. Yeah. So it's that great to watch, great entertainment, great pitches to play on. You know, the mud baths when people used to go flying. Yeah. So all in all, good entertainment. But what I will say about modern day football, even though we're talking about the 60s, 70s, 80s, is it is better for them to play on these types of pitches.
Yeah.
But it's done away with the most skill, which I can't understand why they've done it.
It doesn't seem correct, does it? Because you would think that on mud bath pitches, which you guys played on, you'd have worse football, less skill, and on bowling green surfaces, more skill, but it's kind of, it's the other way around, isn't it? But do you think that there's a lack of skill, there's a lack of teams going forward trying to win the game, more emphasis on teams not losing the game because of the amount of money, particularly in the Premier League, and now because the riches are so great in the Premier League, even Championship clubs do that, and the FA Cup, prime example, most teams now in the top two divisions play a reserve team in the FA Cup.
Well, fabulous points. If you take all what you've just said there, if you look what's the reason why teams are not wanting to lose? You can use that excuse that the Premier League has got the money. Yeah. But my take on that is it's that the managers don't want to get beat 4-5. Yeah. They use the excuse as that the big clubs have got all the money. Yes, of course they have, but the big clubs have always had the money. So it's about you as a coach coaching your players to try and improve and to take these people on, or these teams on, and they haven't done that. The FA Cup used to be a fabulous week to build up to it when we were all kids. You know, TV programs, Friday night through the week, all the build up to it. The bus journey into Wembley with TV cameras on the buses, mixing with players. All that has been done away with. I won't blame the money side of it. I'll always blame the coaching side of it, because the smaller club have always had a disadvantage against the bigger club. Yeah. And if you look at these clubs what go into the Premier League, Bolton's a prime example. Look at the scenario, what's happening at Bolton. You know, trying to match these clubs and trying to buy players instead of trying to coach players and improve players and sign young players through the academies what's got technical ability and understand the game. What they've done, they've fetched young coaches in, or these coaches, your Sam Allardyce and your Dave Moyes, and all they've worked on is organisation and not getting beat. part of it is to not get beat 4 and 5-0. That's why you've heard the statement now of parking the bus when these clubs play the top teams now.
But again, the top teams did get beat by 5, 6, and 7 in the olden days, but they didn't the next game park the bus. There wasn't the fear. I think, we've always had coaches that could and coaches that can't. A coach that you absolutely love is Pep Guardiola, and I heard a great story about Pep and a young kid this morning. And, there are so many coaches, as you say, that would rather defend than go out and try and win a game. I'm trying to put my finger on when that started in football. When did we start going so negative and why?
It started round about the mid-70s. If you look at the two teams that won everything in the mid-70s, which were Liverpool, and Forest, but it was Liverpool, mainly Liverpool, because they played attacking type of football. When other coaches come into it, we can't beat the Liverpools of this world. And it's not that they're worried about losing, Gabby, I promise you, it isn't that.
Yeah.
What they're frightened of doing is getting hammered 4 and 5-0.
Yeah.
In the old days, you see 5-3.
Yeah.
6-4.
Yeah.
7-3.
Yeah.
And again, the following week, it carry on. So what they've done, and they said they've organised. What makes me laugh with all these intellectual coaches now, this defender can defend or he can't defend. What they've done, they've put 2 holding midfield players in front of John Terry, and then they turn around and say, what a great player John Terry is. Listen, John Terry's been a good player. I don't dispute that one little bit. But Bobby Moore never had 2 holding midfield players.
No.
He had Bobby Charlton bombing forward. He had Martin Peters bombing forward in the World Cups, and at West Ham, these players. These were great players. So when they call these good players today great players, when they've got 2 holding midfield players defending and protecting the back 4, it makes me laugh when they say, great. Yes, you can see he's a good player. You can see he's organising, and I'd have him in my team. But don't compare it to yesteryear to what they're doing now, because they've got more protection now defending than they've ever have done in their life, because managers are frightened to not lose games, is to lose 4 and 5-0, because the continental managers, coaches, have fetched technically gifted players into our game.
And you're absolutely right, because again, I can't remember at what stage this lust of 2 holding defenders, 2 holding midfield players come into our game. Because you're right, in the olden days, if you were a defender, you get the ball, and the first thing that the gaffer would say, give it to someone that could play. Give it to someone that could play. Bill Shankly always used to say, the best form of defence is attack. And it's not changed.
Well, you see, Guardiola's proved that.
Exactly.
But I know people were going to turn around and say, oh, look at all the money he's got. Look at how he's improved them players. You tell me where Moyes and Sam Allardyce and them coaches over that yesterday, Graham Taylor, and now you tell me where they've even improved it. Here's a prime example. It's not Howard Wilkinson was a Sheffield Wednesday player. Howard Wilkinson was a Sheffield Wednesday manager. Right? Howard Wilkinson got rid of Eric Cantona, the most skillful player what Leeds United had for years and years and years. Yeah. Why didn't he want him? Because the other players looked up to him. They don't want that. They don't want that. It's coaches like that what have done it. And nobody will convince me any other hour. They have knocked players over the years and put labels to players when we should have been looking at their method. Because what have they left behind? What have they left for our young coaches? We've finished up with hardly any coaches in this country what's going to manage top four clubs. Having said that, I'm looking now at Dean Smith, who I love, his football. Listen, good luck to Aston Villa, and I hope they go on to achieve many, many things, because I want to see quality. I'm not against foreign coaches companies. Let's have a great mixture with everybody. To be the best, you've got to beat the best, Gabby.
Yeah.
You've got to beat the best. You're not going to beat the best by defend. Because, the Champions League, regardless what anybody says, it's a cup competition. Only like the FA Cup with the big teams. It's just the big teams what's in it. Who can win that? Anybody can win it, because Tottenham proved that they had that bit of luck to beat Manchester City to get into a final. ball running right for you. A referee decision might go that way, but the league is harder to win. So for Manchester City to win that league, when they're playing against a lot of teams what are defending, and it's not defending, it's parking the bus in some circumstances, to try and break that down and get results, it's phenomenal. Listen, and I like what Klopp's doing. It's not just about Guardiola. I like what Klopp's doing there. It's a different type of football, but I like to watch his type of football. What I don't want to watch, if you look at third and fourth, well, I call it third and fourth division. If you look at Championship 1, Championship 2, anybody who goes to watch those play, there's no coaching in that. It'll be a big lad. They've done away with wingers, so there's no wingers to get to byline to pull balls back for the big lads. So, I feel sorry for them in that sense, because what is it? It's balls over the top, or the ball's up to the front man to flick on. Crazy. No wonder why we fell behind the rest of the world, the coaching and everything, but it is changing a little bit.
But again, how difficult is it to play that game as well, Tel? Because we've had many conversations where you've between you and Alan Hudson, you've educated me so much. But if you're playing that long ball all the time, the team's getting tired. You need to conserve your energy. The football pitch is in three thirds, and your attacking players come alive in that final third. You want your attacking players with more energy all of the time. So in this modern game, they're doing so much tracking back. I've got other players on my pitch that can do that job. I want my players in that final third being explosive. And I remember, I think it was Hullet years ago when he was talking about Paul Scholes, and he says, "What's he doing running back? You don't want him doing negative running. By the time he gets the ball into the final third, when we want him to be explosive, he's knackered. It's ridiculous the way you play."
Well, when you analyse what you've just been talking about there, the ball over the top, can be a good ball occasionally. But your ordinary managers have worked on that. The English coaches have worked on that for years. If you take the Manchester City goalkeeper, occasionally he will hit a long ball when everybody's been coming to the opposition half. So if Manchester City goalkeeper gets the ball from a free kick or a corner kick, and they are isolated up there, he will hit a long ball. He will hit a long ball. Now, what we did, we concentrated, like I said, on our coaching in hitting channel balls. Now, every time you're hitting channel balls, more often than not, when you've got 2 midfield players in there or 3 midfield players in there, one of them has got to go and support that long ball. Now, to support that long ball, that is now disorientating or disrupting your formation. Coaches don't get it. He's disrupting it, because what's happening? He's going out of position to go and support a 30, 40-yard pass. So if that ball then, and you're playing against a team what played the similar type of way, hits the ball back, right? That the other midfield player then has to go and close down. If someone then plays the ball first time, now you've got 3 players out of game, and maybe 4 players, right? Because they're playing a similar type of game, which is a ball up to chase, for it to be humped back, then to backtrack. What else is happening then? So your team's disrupted, your team's getting more tired. Your Manchester Cities and Liverpools and the great teams what do keep the ball. And I'm not on about keeping square, sideways and backwards. I'm talking about put it into areas where people can control it, not put it into box for sake of putting it into box. I like to watch the Arsenal play, but they went over the board where they wouldn't even shoot.
Wanted to walk it in the pitch. They
wanted to walk it into the pitch. They wanted a perfect goal. No, I don't even believe. I don't believe in that. I believe in the great teams what play great football, and Barcelona and Guardiola is not the first one to do it. Because the first team I ever saw do that type of football, well, the Leeds Uniteds and Man Uniteds and all them Chelseas were doing all that. All of them, Birmingham, they all had 5 or 6 top players. But the great team I saw were the Brazilian World Cup team in 1970. Football was unbelievable what they were doing, into movement, into changing. Occasionally hitting a diagonal ball, which pulled people out. So that was the first time I saw that type of football. And it's been with me ever since. Now, I'm not old school because I'm always one for learning new things.
Yep.
And that's what our coaches haven't done. They have not learned anything new, only the same type of football. And why do they do it? They do it for one reason, especially at the lower clubs, is to get an higher club. So all the work looking for is themselves, to improve themselves, not the players. If I can get a result, we don't get beat today, it's a 0-0, or we lose 1-0 instead of 5-0. Other people talk about me. The pundits will talk about me and get talking about he ought to be at this club, he ought to be at that club. You know, go if you want to get on to Guardiola's level, go and improve your coaching, and then you might get a chance to manage them types of teams.
I agree, because I remember before Lee Clark took over at Birmingham, they were on a magnificent unbeaten run when he was manager at Huddersfield with Terry McDermott. When he come and managed at Birmingham, I just couldn't believe how bad the football was. I mean, he looked absolutely clueless. But when you looked at a lot of the results that Huddersfield achieved in those days, they grabbed a draw out of the they got a draw out of the jaws of a victory. It was incredible at times, and some of the football that the Terriers fans would have been watching must have been driving them to despair. And you're right, there's a perception that because you don't get beat or you get these draws, you then are talked about as a good manager. You get a bigger club, you progress. But unless really, and the essence of football is, unless you can play proper football and play it correct in the right way, pass and movement. Tottenham done that, didn't they? The old push and run in the 60s. Unless you can play real football, you're going to get found out very quickly, aren't you?
Well, nowadays with the foreign coaches, make no mistake. Here's a prime example: the Cowley brothers at Lincoln.
Yeah,
they've had 2 promotions, and on paper it looks terrific.
Yep.
And it's done their reputation will do good.
Yes.
This ain't me having a go at the Cowley brothers.
Yep.
Because what I'm trying to say is, if they change their way of football when they got higher, then I'll say, terrific. You've done great to do that to get to that level.
Yeah.
But what they will do, they can only play that way. They can't adapt to play a different way. So if they get now a job, just say they haven't got the West Brom job or the Derby job, but just say they got a Sheffield Wednesday job.
Yep.
Right? How do you think they would cope? I will stick my neck out and say they would struggle like mad, because that type of football is going to kill them in the long run, because you are not coaching players and improving players. What you're doing is working on percentage football.
Yep.
You know, so when somebody's had that little bit of success, Gabby, they turn around and say, oh, that's fantastic. You know, the long ball is a short-term success and a long-term failure.
Wholly agree. Another thing that you hear so much with supporters is, look, we can't play football because we haven't got the players. Now, I went last Tuesday. I'm going up the Grove again tonight to watch Ailes Owen. I was there Saturday to watch Ailes Owen. When I watched them against Lye, we talked about this last Wednesday on the podcast. I got a stiff neck, I'll be honest. So I went to the Grove and I thought, well, I don't know what I'm gonna get today. They played Kidderminster. Kidderminster did bring a young team, to be fair to them, but the football that Ailes Owen played was superb. It was played on the floor. They got a player there, a holding midfield player, but he was in old money. He was a proper midfield player.
Yeah.
He wasn't just holding. He was the governor. He made the passes. He made the play. Ashley Salmons, and they were fantastic. Yes, they hit some long balls, but they played it to players' feet, and the movement of the front three was frightening. Yeah, and I was I finished that game. I was so excited. I thought, I can't wait to get up there Tuesday night and watch them again. And they're non-league, so it can be played.
Be done.
Exactly.
It can be done. Listen, but now when you said about the holding midfield player, I'm not against an holding midfield player. I'm against 2 holding midfield players.
Yeah, same here.
Right? And what I laughed at, it weren't Ailes Owen. What I laughed at, because what you was going to say, then you stop yourself saying it. When I hear fans turn around and say, well, we can only play that certain way.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you fans, right, whether you like it or not, and I will tell these managers, Sam Allardyce, you listen to all these managers will say, I can only play with the players I have at my disposal. Who signed those players?
Yeah.
Sam Allardyce. Why did he sign those type of players? Why? Because he plays a certain way to play. He has a certain philosophy to play. So he signs that type of player for it. And if it doesn't go right, who does he play? The players.
Yeah.
Once they cross that white line, what can I do? What can you do? You're the one what plays that, has that philosophy to play that way. Not that I can't match Manchester United. Guardiola didn't start straight in Barcelona's first team. He got the reserves, and he did well in that, and that's how he got the job at Barcelona. He did well at Barcelona. You know, his first 3-4 games, they lost at Barcelona. Another game, and he'd have been out.
Yeah.
Another game, he would have been out. He'd have been sacked. He didn't. Then the results started to come. Then the philosophy started to kick in. And then he's got that eye now when he's got the world wanting him to coach in their countries, right? That's how you do it. You don't go and say, well, we haven't got the money. Go and improve your players. Go and improve the teams. Go and improve and fetch people fetch fans in and sit, get them to sit on seats. Get fans excited with exciting football. They will back you. Don't keep blaming, the Premier League, the TV. Gabbies of this world. Everybody wants to talk about the game. Everybody wants to try and make it a crust out of the game. Let's not knock them for doing it, but let's knock the ones what are being negative and not producing the quality coaching and the quality players to take these teams on.
So in essence, what you're saying there is you reap what you sow, don't you? If you're a negative manager, no matter what level of football you play, you could have a non-league manager that could come up. If he's playing decent football, he'll get decent players and he will be a success. You could have Pep Guardiola. Yes, if Pep Guardiola was manager of Hales Owen, they would not go to Liverpool and get a result, but they would still play some mighty fine football. And that's the essence of a good coach, isn't it, surely?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. If you're brave enough to be able to take these managers on and these teams on, then you'll get more benefit from it. You'll get better quality players coming in. Now, if me took over Sheffield Wednesday, and Sam Allardyce took over Sheffield Wednesday, and I were playing football and I were getting beat week in and week out and getting hammered, they're going to call me brainless. I ain't got a clue what I'm doing. And then Sam Allardyce comes in, organises something, does mediocre, stops them getting relegated. Oh, he's done a marvellous job.
Yeah.
No, I've done a bad job because I've just wanted to attack instead of getting it sorted out. When we haven't got the ball, we have to defend. Mm-hmm. That's when I've done a bad job.
Yeah.
But what has he fetched to the game? It's just negative football with negative players. Yet he gets more praise for it. And I understand that, because if you're going to keep getting beat, then nobody wants you. I get that. But you've got to have the balance where when you've got the ball, you've got to be wide and expansive and attractive and have the confidence, the courage to go and take on. But when you haven't got it, you've got to make the pitch smaller. You've got to stop the opposition getting into areas what's going to cause you, the team, the problems. Now, good coaches can see that. They see it before it even goes onto the pitch, right? The ordinary coaches will go out there, organise and try and stop it and just work on free kicks and corner kicks and hope that we get a goal from a free kick. Yeah. Hope that we get a goal from a throw-in.
But again,
that's going now. I guarantee you that's going.
But again, if you set up like that, Tel, as a player, as soon as you go a goal down, how do you get back in the game? It's very difficult to get back into a game where you've had no input into trying to make a game, isn't it?
I don't mean to be rude at it. When these teams do that,
yep.
I laugh my head off at it.
Exactly.
Because now they haven't got a clue. Look, the best ones I've ever heard, never mind the coaches, the best ones I heard is majority of these pundits.
Yeah.
When they turn around and say, they haven't got a clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
They haven't got a clue what they're doing. Well, once that happens, that the manager or the team gets beat, gets a goal down after a minute or two, they're the ones what backed them in first place.
Yeah.
They've got to play that way, and then they haven't got a clue how to give the answer to it. It's crazy. No one anyone when you go out on a football pitch. you can see within the first 4 or 5 minutes if your team's not going to do well.
Yeah.
Now, do you pull a player off after 4 or 5 minutes? No, you don't, because that's been stupid.
Yeah.
But you've got to give them chance to sort themselves out. They sign players and put players on the pitch. What cannot do that? They're looking at managers all the time to organise it for them. What the manager wants them to do. They haven't got enough players in there what can sort the game out.
Now, talking of managers and talking of your football club at Sheffield Wednesday, you still are looking for a manager, but you've got an interim manager to take over for the first week, 2 weeks, first month of the season. I know they got left, a little bit in the lurch with Brucey, but it does seem a little bit daft where they're going, doesn't it?
Well, I've always tried to not talk too much about Sheffield Wednesday, even on my wall. I've just tried to put, come on Wednesday, let's hope we get a result today.
Yeah.
But now I've started getting a bit more deeper into it with them and thinking, well, hang on a bit, why I'm not going to put up with it anymore.
Yeah.
My last statement I wrote about Sheffield Wednesday was, will the club stick with Lee Bullen for the first month of the season? Yeah. And it looks as though I'm right by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Why have they put Bullen there? Now, if they're going to give Bullen a chance, I'll back Bullen.
Yeah.
If they don't give him a chance, you put whoever they put in, you back. Yeah. There's certain managers I don't want in, but if they put in, then I will back them. Yeah. Because you want your team to do well.
Yeah.
Why have they give Bullen this job? This embargo, they say it's been lifted. Is Lee Bullen put in there so there's no money spent on players? Mm. Yes, they've got to get rid of players. Where do we want players? With 6 strikers there, 2 or 3 of them at the wrong end of the age.
Yep.
With no pace in there. Now, for me, what I wrote about, the Ben Bullen in charge, and I think they will stick with him for first month. So once the transfer window's closed, they'll look at it and think, well, he's either done well and we'll give him a job, and if he hadn't done well, then we'll fetch somebody in what's got to work with those type of players. Now, that's okay if they're going to work and improve them, but they won't. They'll just fetch somebody in what will organise it. A Chris Houghton will just organise it and play same type of football and think, oh, we've done marvellous keeping up. Yeah. If we are now going to compete with the elite, we've got to start getting elite coaches. We're going to fall behind Sheffield United, whether people like it or not. Because once you're in that Premier League, them kids are going to say to their dads, can I go and watch Saha play at Liverpool dad against Sheffield United? The Sheffield Wednesday kids are going to say that to their dads.
Yeah.
And the clubs don't realise this.
No.
So then you lose some fans because they want to watch these top players. They want to watch the Guardiolas of this world fetching their teams down, the Agueros, Jesus, and all these type of players. The Liverpools. They want to see them teams down there. And now we're behind that. Yeah. We're behind that. Right? And when you look at Wilder, what has Wilder done? He's played football with ordinary players. What these other coaches say you can't do it. You can't do that. But he's done it. No. And he's taken Sheffield United up there. So when I look at Sheffield Wednesday, who is advising the owner with these managers what they put in place? Who's advising? Now, Bruce, Premier League, Newcastle's hometown club, I still didn't think he'd go. But when I look at it now the more I'm looking at this, is there a problem at Sheffield Wednesday? Because I think there's a problem. I think there is no money for players. Yeah. He's got out of the players the best he could towards the end of last season. And now he's looked at it. The club's come in for him. I'm going to jump at this because I can't see me getting Sheffield Wednesday in the top 4. Yeah. And that's my opinion of it. And that's my club. Mm. There's nobody wants Sheffield Wednesday to go and win more than I do. I came out at Old First Division to play in 3rd Division. Didn't do my career any good one little bit. Did not do it one little bit to go and play in 3rd Division football. Mm. But I wanted to play for Sheffield Wednesday. Now, have they got the art or the right things in mind for the club? Or is it just money to them? I don't know. I don't know.
I personally think with most owners of football clubs, and I think especially foreign owners of football clubs in particular, the only reason that they buy a football club is for an investment for whatever reason. In the olden days, you'd have your local businessman, you'd have people that had a connection with a football club, and they would want to buy the football club for the right reasons. I'm not saying that they always done the right thing, but they had the club's best interests at heart. I'm not convinced that in the modern game that's the way.
Well, when you analyse that now, to have one of the big clubs, you've got to be a billionaire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not multimillionaire. You've got to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Now, why do the billionaires want these football clubs?
Personally,
why? If you've got £1 billion, why would you want to put it into a football club?
My personal opinion is that Abramovich was told to go and buy a football club in the Premier League, and it ended up being Chelsea because the Russians wanted the World Cup, and the people that bought Manchester City, which just happened to buy Manchester City because the Commonwealth Games had been in Manchester, and they got the stadium, etc., etc. They got the infrastructure as well, and it was in a big city in the north of England because Qatar wanted the World Cup.
Well, if you take the Manchester City scenario, when you look the amount of money what they put into Manchester City and the area of Manchester, it's absolutely brilliant, and it's fantastic for that area of Manchester. Well, wouldn't that money be better spent in their own countries, in underdeveloped areas, like we do in our countries? We leave certain areas underdeveloped and go and spend it abroad somewhere else.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It makes you wonder why this is happening. It really makes you wonder why would a billionaire want a football? But they get people to believe it. They'll say, "Oh, it's a toy to them." They don't get that kind of money by throwing it away.
Nah,
they don't get it. They can't kid me with that.
There's always a reason. And I think that the reason is the greater prize. And I think that when you look at the awards of 2 World Cups, I think that's why they buy them. And it gives them great kudos as well. And I think that they buy the football club because it can enhance their business
reputation,
capabilities, and that's the only reason. And sadly, sometimes when it doesn't work, the club gets disregarded, gets chucked. For instance, Charlton Athletic, they've got a Belgian owner, absolutely doesn't care about Charlton, and where are Charlton going? Okay, they got promoted, Lee Bowyer's done very well, but where's the long-term plans for Charlton? Where are the long-term plans for these football clubs? I don't think that they do have long-term plans. Most of the owners, I think it's just about them, and they're not interested in what football can do for them, or rather what they can do for football is what football can do for them. That's their interest for me, and that's why they buy the football club, sadly, and the fans get conned because they will then use the press to tell a number of stories, whether it be about managers or coaches or players and people that don't do as they say. Exactly. They are disregarded. They're blackballed. They're bad-mouthed. They're looked upon as rebels and undesirables, and so the circle keeps going round and round again until we break it. But we don't.
That's why people get jobs. I was talking to an ex-manager. An ex-manager yesterday, and I asked him about a certain chairman, and what he said to me, he said, "Terry, I've had him twice, and they will stab you in the so nice to your face." Right? But they set on. When Howard Wilkinson came into football, he set on people like Mick Innigan. Right? Now, a lot of players are like Mick because he's done well for them and looked after them in that sense. But Wilkinson set people like Innigan on what's not played the game to agree with him. He's not going to send someone in and say, "Well, that's wrong," and I think you're wrong with that, because that's what they want, and it's that reputation then what goes with them to say, "Look, it's me what's done this." Now, I will give Wilkinson credit for the academies. I think that a lot of people think the academies are wrong. I think the academies are right. What's wrong about the academies is the coaching what's in it. Because if you can get good young players away from certain amateur clubs, and what I mean by amateur clubs, it's not the clubs itself, it's the parents screaming and shouting at that kid, threatening the coach. Why have you brought my player off? shouting to young players, get the ball upfield, get it away. So the academies are brilliant for that type of thing. So we haven't got the parents. But even now that's starting to creep into our academies because coaches are frightened to death to say anything anymore. Yeah. Peter Beers is a prime example. You don't say anything because when you say something, you could say the wrong word and then some intellect takes it and twists that saying and make it like a racist comment. So you've got to be careful what you say, even in the academies now.
Yeah.
So let's hope that our team, Birmingham and Sheffield Wednesday, are among the elite soon, Gabby. And then we're having more happier times.
we can live in hope, Tel. And I firmly believe if we had more coaches and managers with your beliefs, your philosophy on the game, I don't believe in, coaching badges, I get all that, and I get that they go to the school and get their decorations. I get all that. Yeah. But your education was of playing for 20, 30 years of the game, putting smiles on our faces. Now, if we had more players like you that did that, I'm sure that us fans going to the games would have smiles back on our faces, rather being bored shitless in watching some of the sterile rubbish that's churned out by some of these modern day coaches that seem to be frightened of their own shadows.
Gabby, we said we were going to talk about the managers that I had.
Yeah.
We're not even going to talk about them next week, but we'll probably do it the week after. Okay. Next week, we're definitely going to talk about Maverick, why this came in about players. So next week, we're going to talk about the Maverick footballers in this country, past and probably present.
Yep.
Right. Why they've been got that name, christened that name, Mavericks.
Yep.
Your take on it. I know where your take on it's coming from.
Yep.
But I'm gonna give the reason why I think and why it stuck and why managers label players. I think it was done for a purpose.
Yeah. So it's Mavericks next week, managers the week after that you've played. And I also want to touch upon the foreign input into the game of football, because it was just after the 1978 World Cup finals where football clubs could have, I believe, 3 foreign players.
And didn't your club fetch the first? Was it
one of them? Tarantina, yeah.
Tarantina. Yeah. And then you go. I mean, we had other players before that, but I mean, when it really started to creep in. Tarantino, wasn't it? Tarantino.
Well, we had Alberto Tarantino come after the 78 World Cup final to Birmingham. We had Osvaldo Ardiles and Ricky Villa also come at Tottenham. There was, I remember the start of that season, the 78-79 season, where there was an influx of foreigners. I think Franz Tyson and Arnold Muren at Ipswich were also among the first players. I mean, the Sheffield United had Alex Sabella, did they? Argentinian.
I played against Alex.
I remember you going past him and whacking the ball in Sheffield United's net.
And Alex went on to be a manager of the Argentina national team, and also we'll fit all that in.
Lovely. So till next time, Tal. Happy days, and the season kicks off on Friday night, and then the Premier League kicks off the weekend after. Yeah. Who do you think's going to win the Premier League, and who do you think will get promoted to the Premier League?
Before that, Gabby.
Yep.
All the best to Birmingham.
Thank you.
And Sheffield Wednesday.
Yep.
I hope that we do have a good season.
Yep.
A good season, pair of us. The Premier League. I'm not going to be boring. I'm going to be attacking minded, because whoever beats, I can't see anybody beating Manchester City. No. Not even Liverpool.
No.
Because they've got 2 teams what are capable of going and challenging for the all 4 competitions.
Yeah.
Right. Liverpool have to pull people out to not win the FA Cup, to conserve players, the star players, not getting injured. Whereas Manchester City can put 2 teams out. Yeah. So I think Manchester City will win it. And then it'll be among the rest 4 or 5, 6 teams to get into the top 4. Who do I think will go up in the Championship? I think it'll be Leeds United.
Yeah.
I will put Cardiff in that because I thought Cardiff did not too bad towards the end of last season. They've kept majority of their players, and I know it's hard for teams to go straight back up. Mm-hmm. But Warnock is quite good at getting teams up, and I think he's kept that nucleus. So I think they'll be in among it. And I've got to put West Brom in that 3 going up. So they'll be my 3. What I think will be going up part of the Championship.
Well, I'll agree with you in the Premier League. I'm going for Man City because I think Man City will win it again.
Yep, I can't see anybody stopping them. I really can't.
And the Championship, I'm going for Fulham. They've kept hold of Mitrovic. They've added Knockaert to the team as well, and I think that they've kept quite a lot of those players. And I've just got a hunch. I think Fulham will be there or thereabouts. And of course, Fulham is the boyhood team of Alan Hudson as well.
Is it? Right. So that's why you're going for Fulham.
Well, not really. I just think they're going to win.
I ain't going to take you and Uddy on, and we're going to have a fibre on this.
Okay.
You've got Fulham, and I'll have Leeds.
No problem. And
right.
what we'll have to do when Sheffield play Birmingham, or
we'll meet up.
Yeah, we will do. We'll go down south and have a bar, have a beer with Hudson in. I think it's the Golden Lion in Fulham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a beer with him. We will do that for definite.
Top
okay.
Man. Cheers, Tal. Till next time.
Gabby.
We'll speak in a
Bye-bye.
week. Cheers, pal.
Bye.
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 SRB Media.